industry and our supply chain. I'm going to focus on the project, looking at how we are engineering our new processes to save time, money and carbon. And I'll finish with a forward look of what's to come. But back to today in the present, I've got to start by saying I hope everyone is okay out there. For me, sort of the novelty of the second lockdown has already worn off. My morning run is definitely getting harder every day. I baked all the banana bread I could sort of think of in the first lockdown, and I've now run out of DIY jobs. So I'm pretty thankful that sort of working on a project like HS2 doesn't leave me with much spare time during this period. But thankfully, you know, we can sort of look forward, working hard with our supply chain and our Back to Better initiative coming out of COVID-19. And we've been able to keep almost all of our work sites open throughout the year, and construction on phase 1 is already delivering at a fantastic pace. In my part of the business, currently in civils, we're spending up to £130 million already per month. The Prime Minister has said the UK will build back better and build back bolder. HS2 is a cornerstone of that strategy because the scale of what we are setting out to build is without parallel in the UK or indeed across Europe at present. HS2 is Britain's new high-speed railway. It will be the backbone of our railway network. We're building over 345 miles of new high-speed track that will be integrated into our existing network here in the UK. Our rolling stock will run at speeds of up to 360 kilometres per hour, but the track itself is just the start. HS2 will link 8 out of our major cities from London in the south of England to Edinburgh and Glasgow in Scotland, with faster, more reliable services connecting 30 million people. That's around half of the UK's population. Phase 1 alone means diverting 8 major rivers. We're building hundreds of bridges and viaducts and creating earthworks for 85 miles of the route, both in cuttings and embankments. We'll need over 1 million tonnes of steel and use over 2,000 cranes, dumpers and tipper trucks. And we've got 10 tunnel boring machines. We'll be building 4 new or improved stations, 2 new depots and a maintenance site at Calvert. That's over 200 major construction sites. That is what we're building. That's the infrastructure. But that's not why we're actually building it. So why HS2? HS2 will provide much needed capacity for our rail system, making space on the conventional network to add more trains, more services and have better reliability. With the full network running, the extra capacity generated will allow 36 million more rail journeys every year by the middle of the century. So we are fixing our railway for that 21st century and well beyond. Rail is by far the most carbon-friendly mass transport system we have available currently. And if we are to be really net zero carbon by 2050 and then stay there, then a system like HS2, which takes cars and lorries off our roads and planes from the air, is an absolute must. So we are helping to fix the climate in the long term as well. And when we fix the transport system with fast, efficient and low carbon, travel will be helping to fix our economy too. HS2 has the potential to change the economic geography of our country and be a real catalyst for growth. By bringing Britain closer together, there will be more investment in the Midlands and the North, opening up opportunities for millions of people. And by joining up Britain, we will be helping to build our economy back and a better country. HS2 has always been more than a railway. It's one of the most important social and economic regeneration projects in Britain for decades. I'm a chartered engineer and I'm also a chartered project professional, and I've been planning, designing and helping build things my entire working life. HS2 offers a unique opportunity to work on the largest infrastructure project in Europe, the project that will underpin the construction and engineering sectors for the next 20 years. Our workforce is already over 10,000 people strong, and at its peak, HS2 will support over 30,000 jobs, with many thousands more supported within our supply chain. To design and build HS2, we need a huge range of works, goods, services from businesses of all sizes. The construction of Phase 1 has released around £12 billion worth of contracts into our supply chain. We estimate that this will mean over 400,000 supply chain opportunities to deliver work on the project, and 2/3 of them are likely to go to small and medium-sized enterprises. This provides the wider UK construction industry with much needed certainty against a backdrop of the recovery from COVID-19. So that's the scale, that's the prize of what we're trying to achieve. Now let me turn to the engineering itself in a little bit more detail, and I'll sort of start underground because that's where I started my career. In reality, Phase 1 is a portfolio of major national projects stitched together as one. And the tunnelling challenge is an enormous one. In total, 25% of Phase 1 route will be underground in tunnels. Across Phase 1, we'll set 10 tunnel boring machines to work. They'll bore 64 miles of tunnel, reaching depths of some 90 metres below ground at the deepest point. Back in August, it was announced our first 2 tunnel boring machines, Florence and Cecilia, were set to leave their German factory and make their way to the UK. Early next year, they'll begin boring over 20 miles of tunnels under the Chilterns, from Chalfont Lane to South East, creating 10 miles of twin-bore tunnel. They'll be expected to take around 3 years to excavate the tunnels. The machines will operate a continuous boring technique, combining both the boring and installation activities, reducing overall excavation schedule, saving both time and money, two of the most precious commodities we have in projects. And with a diameter of 9.1 metres, the same height as 2 double-decker buses, they'll be larger than the London Underground, the Elizabeth Line and the Channel Tunnel. So, a project of this scale can't help but break new ground, and we're determined to seize the opportunities these present. Placing innovation at the heart of design and build of HS2 will improve productivity. Innovating to do more with less, create fewer emissions and noise, and set new standards for quality and safety. We will build a legacy of knowledge, expertise, and new commercial opportunities for the UK. Through innovating and collaborating with our supply chain, we're already setting new standards for the future mega projects. We've received or unveiled a world-class pioneering innovations that will put safety at the heart of the Chiltern tunnels. We, through our contractors, Lyons JV, we have pioneered the crocodile robot that will automate a traditionally manual role as part of the tunnel construction process, improving safety and efficiency on the tunnelling machines. Crocodile will work in a similar manner to that of a robotic arms used in production lines in manufacturing, and will carry out simple repetitive tasks, removing the wooden spaces between the tunnel segments, for example. A second feature of the robot will automate the doweling procedure, installing dowels directly into the segments in preparation for joining the segments together. Tunnelling presents a challenging and hazardous environment, so this is an area where naturally people are at a high risk. These innovation solutions will remove the need for people to carry out those hazardous work, in the tunnels, improving both their safety and improving efficiency. And innovation is essential to improving the health and safety processes, but it's also at the heart of enabling the transition to a low carbon environment. As the largest infrastructure project in Europe, we have a unique opportunity to drive decarbonisation in rail and construction sectors with our supply chain. And building HS2 will inevitably create carbon emissions, but our goal is for as little carbon as possible to reach the atmosphere. Using innovative techniques and products in the construction of the new high-speed line, we cannot only build HS2 more sustainably, but we can lead by example, showing how the construction sector can help deliver Britain's cleaner, greener future. Concrete and steel are key areas clearly for carbon reduction, so we are focusing on optimising the concrete mix, and in particular the opportunity to use a low carbon concrete and reuse steel or steel with high recycled content. If I turn to our sites in London, working with our enabling works contractors, CSJV and Linden Construction Limited, part of the sort of Cemex group, we have begun to use new low carbon concrete products which provides a reduction of 42% in CO2 levels in comparison to standard concrete. After engineering carbon reductions into the concrete mix, Cemex calculates the embodied carbon generated from extraction and processing of raw materials, products manufactured and distribution will be reduced. The first on-site example of this was to prepare the ground for a new electricity substation, which will power the tunnel boring machines excavating our London tunnels. And by using this low carbon concrete, a total of 12 tonnes of carbon could be saved once delivery is complete, with an additional 17 tonnes of residual CO2 being offset. Discussions are continuing as how to use this technology and how we can adapt it further across the remainder of HS2 through the Civils Collaboration Board. And in order to be the UK's most environmentally responsible project, we've also set a carbon reduction target with our supply chain on the civils contracts of 50% for the contractors to hit as a baseline. And we monitor that every month with our partnering boards. We will be a key contributor to a zero carbon Britain. We will be the green option for the long distance travel in the UK, and we're working closely with our station designers to minimise the carbon footprint on our stations as well. So if I can turn to our stations, and that makes me particularly proud, because before taking over the role as the Civils Client Director, I was the Programme Director for the West Midlands region. So I'm particularly proud to start with this visualisation of the Curzon Street station, which will really be at the heart of our HS2 network and key to the regeneration of not just, in fact, the city centre, but also the West Midlands region. And a testament to rich railway heritage on the site, it was the first of our stations to gain Schedule 17 planning approval with Birmingham City Council, and it's going to be an absolute landmark for passengers arriving into this fantastic station. And we'll do this, in a way that also achieves net carbon emissions from energy consumed to operate this building, integrated into our systems, and through reducing energy demand and consumption and generating low carbon energy. And we'll do this through installing prefabricated soffits in the main station roof. You can just about make them out on the left-hand side of the tree in the middle of the picture, which are 27 times more carbon efficient than steel comparators. And we're also using 100% recycled content steel roof sections bolted together rather than the traditional welded techniques. And we expect to appoint a design and build contractor to start building this fantastic station in mid-2021. If I can head a little bit further south, but still staying in the West Midlands, here we see a visualisation of the interchange station, which was awarded the BREEAM Outstanding Certification for Sustainable Buildings, a first for any railway station, not just in the UK, but in the world, putting it in the top 1% of eco-friendly buildings in the UK. Its environmental performance is matched only by its connectivity status. The new station in Solihull has been dubbed the best connected station on the line of route, with an automated people mover connecting our passengers from the new HS2 station here to the NEC building, to Birmingham International Station and Birmingham Airport, all in around 6 minutes. And we're offering direct access to over 150 international destinations and a further 490 globally with the airport. And enabling works are continuing around this site already, as people have probably seen, and we're expected to appoint our design and build contractor to build this fantastic station in mid-2022. So if we can move now significantly to the south end of the route, move that along. Here you can see a picture of the station at Old Oak Common, just to the west of London, which will form basically a new super hub on the site, combining the largest subsurface high-speed station in the UK with an integrated ground-level conventional station, as you can see here, on the same site, connecting HS2 with the Elizabeth Line, Heathrow Express and the Great Western Main Line. The station received planning approval in May 2020, and like much of the Phase 1 route, the scale of the engineering challenge is immense. When complete, it's estimated that it will be used by 250,000 people every single day. Innovative engineering at the station allowed for a redesign of the station roof, which reduced the amount of steel required by 27%, a total steel reduction from when we started of over 1,000 tonnes. Using less material saves money and also reduces the embodied carbon of the materials used to construct the station. So finally on stations, if I can turn to our London terminus, and that is the Euston station, one of the most complicated and challenging aspects of the whole programme. The approach to the redevelopment was revisited during the Phase 1 hybrid bill to minimise the disruption, and the station we now see a new series of high-speed platforms that will be constructed in 2 phases. The first stage will support Phase 1 and deliver an initial set of high-speed platforms to meet that capacity, and then at Stage 2 that will be expanded further as we bring in Phase 2A and Phase 2B. And we're continuing to work closely with our partners in the Department for Transport, Network Rail and Lend-Lease to minimise disruption and maximise that fantastic opportunity. So, what's next? Well, what will the next few years hold for HS2? Well, apart from the construction of Phase 1, as I've just set out, next year we hope to award the contract to the company or joint venture that will build the first 54 high-speed trains needed to run on the network. This is a huge milestone for the project, along with our new stations and major pieces of civil engineering. Our trains will be the new symbols of rail travel in this country, transporting Britain well and truly into the 21st century and beyond. And we'll also be partnering with Network Rail to buy the works packages to make and integrate our services into the existing conventional network. This will make sure HS2 trains can run smoothly north of Manchester and Leeds and onwards to Scotland, making it a truly national network. We're working to bring high-speed rail to the north of England and beyond as soon as possible. Our plans for Phase 2A consist of 35 miles of new high-speed track, which will run from the West Midlands to Crewe, passing through parts of Staffordshire and Cheshire. The Phase 2A bill is following the parliamentary process in the House of Lords, and we hope to receive royal assent later this year. Our Phase 2B route will serve the north in a Y-shaped network, split into the east and western legs. The western leg will connect the high-speed line at Crewe and run through to Manchester, and we've received instruction from government to begin preparation of a new hybrid bill for this section of the line. The eastern leg will connect to the high-speed line in the West Midlands and will run through to Leeds. We're playing an active role on the eastern leg, working closely with the National Infrastructure Commission on an integrated rail plan to ensure that Phase 2B will be fully integrated with other programmes such as High Speed North and Midlands Connect. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're now really at a pivotal point in this project, which is pretty exciting. And we're building Britain's future, and it's happening right now. Boring the tunnels, building the bridges, and we're buying the trains. The immense civil engineering challenges we face offer opportunities in innovation. We're working in collaboration with our partners in the supply chain, setting new standards, saving costs, and in particular, we're cutting carbon. We're determined to seize that opportunity. Thank you very much for listening to me this afternoon. I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations, and take care.
Thank you for joining us today, Mike, and that presentation was really interesting. I'm glad we managed to iron out the technical issues I had during my introduction before your presentation started. But that's the fun of doing these things live, I'm told. We can take a few questions from the audience now, and we're just waiting for those to come in. While we're waiting for those, could you tell me what the implications would be for existing rail routes if we weren't investing in HS2?
I worked on the existing network, Claire, as you probably know, for 16 years. So, we've got a fantastic conventional network in the UK. But, having worked in projects on it, it's extremely hard to sort of upgrade and enhance that network. So, that's the reason I joined HS2. The additional capacity and capability that HS2 will provide will significantly help that conventional network in terms of providing it with more resilience, in terms of performance terms. It'll allow additional capacity for both passenger services and also, importantly, freight services. Yeah, and it'll allow probably more time for engineers such as myself to make sure we go in there in our Victoria network and make sure we bring it up to the 21st century.
So do you think the public really understand that, or do you think the focus on sort of the speed that HS2 would offer them for passenger services was perhaps a diversion for them? They didn't really sort of appreciate the real need for HS2.
I think, as I said through the presentation, I think it's important we always make the case for HS2, not just in terms of speed, but also in terms of those benefits that we've just talked about. It's the benefits in capacity terms, in performance, but also, I see this very much in the West Midlands, where I'm sort of based at the moment. We also see it in terms of its impact in terms of regeneration on our sort of major cities and how that sort of works through the adjoining regions. I know very much from, I've sort of got a non-exec director role on Greater Birmingham Solihull Local Enterprise Partnership, and HS2 is an absolute cornerstone to the recovery strategy and the growth within that particular region. I know that's also the case in Manchester and the other city regions that we touch.
So we've got our first question coming from the audience. Will the change in passenger demand as a result of COVID-19 impact the need for HS2 and other future projects?
Okay, well, it's sort of with COVID-19, it is a little bit of a crystal ball, but I think Pfizer have helped me a little bit this week, in terms of the latest developments, and I'm pretty hopeful that, come 2021, the new normal will hopefully go back a little way to the old normal. I'm pretty sure it won't be exactly the same. You know, we've learned quite a lot in terms of working in a COVID-19 world, that we're not going to be dinosaurs in the thaw and throw those away. We've got to make sure we keep them. But in terms of the importance of HS2 and its impact on that regeneration and rebalancing our economy, I think that's going to continue to be essential as we move forward.
So our next question is, what is your view of the X-shaped high-speed rail network that's been proposed by Green Gauge 21 and others that will provide a northeast-southwest route through Birmingham, linking Newcastle, Leeds, Sheffield to Bristol, South Wales and Devon and Cornwall?
So I can't talk definitively about that proposal, so I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm an engineer first and foremost at the moment, and I'm pretty busy building phase one of the route. But I've got to say, having been an extensive traveller on our rail network and worked on the railways now for over 20 years, I think it's absolutely essential we make sure we have strong strategic plans in terms of how we grow that network. So clearly there's many views on that, but the one thing I would say is we're building HS2 now. And that, I think that's a huge positive, and we're going to see those benefits in the next 10 years, both in terms of construction, but importantly operations when that comes into force. And that will have a big impact, as I said previously, in terms of how that conventional network operates and getting the best benefit we can from it in a HS2 environment.
So the next question is, are any lessons being learned from phase one for phase 2A and phase 2B?
Absolutely. As we have learned in HS2 from the Olympics and HS1 and Crossrail, Thames Tideway and alike, I think good projects always learn lessons. So we are talking. We work very closely with our colleagues in phase 2A and phase 2B, and there's some lessons we absolutely have learned. It's this is the first time we've built a major railway between two major cities in living memory. So it will be wrong to say we're not going to learn lessons from that. And I think we're going to be stronger as we go forward. In terms of understanding some of those engineering challenges of building a high-speed railway in the UK, but also in terms of understanding the costs and schedule perspective, and clearly the benefits that will be generated on the back of building a high-speed railway as well. So yeah, absolutely, it's part of our ethos and the way we work.
Okay. Next question is coming from Chris Pike. What are the key features that enable the interchange station to achieve its BREEAM outstanding status?
I think the first thing would be, I'm going back to the supply chain, because I was sort of intimately involved in this in its development and interchange in my previous role, was working seamlessly with Arup, and Arup and HS2 really worked on the vision for the station from the outset. So we had a real clear vision because of its location. It sits in a very rural environment currently, and we wanted to make sure that those sort of eco credentials were not lost as part of its development. So I think we called it the leaf design, where the design you can see now. So it fitted in to that sort of place, but also we needed to make sure that it was fit for the people that were going to use it. We needed to build a station that had great connectivity, as you heard with the people mover and the connections. And then it was about actually how we could get the best out of the engineering and the materials that was used. So we're using glulam wooden construction. The way we design the materials was trying to minimise the carbon that was involved there. So it was the sort of holistic thinking around people, place, and time really that sort of came together to create that BREEAM outstanding rating.
Okay, I think we've got about a minute left, so I've probably got the most difficult question for that short, brief time. It's from Zoe Scriver asking, what are the main challenges and opportunities for HS2 Phase 1 build over the next year? Just a simple question.
The main opportunities. The main opportunities are about momentum and pace. You know, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, you know, we're delivering 130 million pounds per month. You know, we're massively mobilising on our journey to what we call full operating capability, and that's capability both within HS2, but importantly, within our supply chain as well. And I think the real opportunity is to work in a professionally collaborative way together, to maximise the support we give for each other, you know, in delivering HS2. It's really about being joined up and working as one to achieve what we've set out to do.
Okay, great. I think we'll have to draw it to a close there. We're certainly looking forward to following the work on HS2 over the next 12 months in NCE. So thank you again for joining us, Mike. Now I'd like to hand over to our next speaker, who is Mott MacDonald Project Director Kim Yates, who'll be looking at the role of rail in building resilient cities. Kim will be taking questions at the end of the session with my colleague Rob Horgan, who is news editor on NCE.